Hi, my name's Kristen Boddy and I'm an IELTS teacher at Viva College in Brisbane. Today in Spotlight on IELTS, I'd like to talk to you about your lexical resource, or put simply, your vocabulary. So obviously you need a wide variety of vocabulary for your speaking and your writing tests so that you can produce effective answers, but you also need vocabulary understanding for your listening and your reading tests. So this is actually a very important topic. I'd like to talk to you first of all about topic vocabulary. What does that mean? Well, that's very simply words that are related to a specific topic. So let me give you an example. A topic that you often have to speak about is family. Now, when you're trying to describe your family, it's important that you use the correct words to do so. So if you're trying to talk about your brother or your sister, both of which are topic vocabulary words, we often use the word siblings, and this word refers to all of your brothers and sisters. If you want to talk about your mother and your father and your brother and your sister, you can talk about your immediate family. Or if you want to talk about your aunties and your uncles and your cousins, you can talk about your relatives, or you can talk about your extended family. So I've already told you more than 10 words which fit into this category that we call topic vocabulary for family. We can also think about verbs. So a very common verb that we use when we're talking about family is to grow up. Now this is actually a phrasal verb. We can also use the verb bring up. Obviously one has a more passive meaning. To grow up means that you are literally getting older, nobody's doing anything to you, and to bring up focuses on your parents actually raising you. We can also focus on nouns like upbringing. Upbringing describes the way in which your parents raised you. So the manners that they taught you, the kind of education that they gave you, the things that they told you were right and wrong, all of those things relate to your upbringing. So it's very important that you're able to identify what words are related to a specific topic. And one way that you can do this is actually by thinking about the topic in your own language first. So if I asked you to go away and write 2 or 3 paragraphs about your family in your own language, I'm sure that you'd be able to do that quite simply. Once you finish doing that, you could review the paragraphs that you had written and actually underline the nouns and the verbs and the adjectives that you use to describe your family, and then translate them into English using a dictionary. Now it is important, if you have an English teacher, to ask them if your translation is accurate and if those are words that we actually do commonly use in English. If you don't have access to an English teacher, you can put some questions in the comments section below and I'm very happy to help you. Or you can ask a friend who's a native speaker, if you don't have access to a teacher, of course. The next thing that I want to talk to you about vocabulary is this idea of formal and informal words. Now, when you're doing your speaking test in IELTS, it's okay to use vocabulary that's neutral, not very, very formal and not very, very informal, just a neutral middle tone. When you're doing your writing test, however, it's more appropriate to use slightly more formal words rather than informal ones. So my advice to you is to make a list in your vocabulary book. Have informal words on the left side and their formal alternatives on the right side. This is something that you can do with the help of a teacher or the help of your study mates, something that you can use the internet to help you to do. The final thing that I recommend that you do when you're trying to extend your vocabulary is to focus on collocations. So what are collocations? Collocations are pairs or groups of words that are used together in English. A very simple example of this is the collocation with the verb and the preposition to think of or to think about. Many of my Spanish speaking students often make the error to think in. Now this is simply because in Spanish that's what they say. However, in English we have a different collocation. So it's important to pay attention to these pairs of words, a verb and a preposition, or a noun and a preposition that we use in English. The other type of collocation that you can focus on is an adjective and a noun, for example. So when we describe a building, we don't say a fat building. No, we say a wide building because the collocation fat building doesn't exist in English. We use fat to describe people. So it's important to pay attention to the types of adjectives that you can use with nouns. Similarly, the types of adverbs that you can use with verbs. So you can start learning about collocations by doing a search on Google for collocation lists. You can also start paying attention to the collocations that you hear and the collocations that you read, and start making lists of them so that you can pay attention to them and memorize them if possible. Let's quickly review what we've talked about today. Vocabulary is very important in every aspect of your IELTS test. My recommendation is that you start focusing on topic vocabulary, which is words specifically related to a particular topic. I also think it's important for you to focus on informal and formal word pairs so that you have a flexibility and you can change from a formal register to an informal one easily. And finally, I think it's important that you focus on your collocations, which are pairs or groups of words that can be used together. Thank you so much for joining us today. My name's Kristen Boddy and I'm an IELTS teacher at Viva College in Brisbane. If you have any questions or would like to leave me some comments, please leave them in the comments section below, and I hope that you can join us again next time for Spotlight on IELTS. Bye for now.